We now have the pleasure of having Ritual Lukonga, the Chief Executive Officer of the Namibia Industrial Development Agency, with extensive experience in corporate governance, business strategy, and organizational transformation. Lukonga has played a pivotal role in revitalizing organizations, and this evening he will be speaking exclusively about NIDA and his leadership since taking over. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
All right, if you can just briefly tell us about the outline of NIDA's mandate.
Thank you very much for that important question. NIDA's mandate, we can divide it into three categories. The first category is inclusive industrialization for all Namibians. It's the entity that was established to spearhead the industrialization agenda for the country, ensuring that the country is responsive to industrial development. And the second part of it is investment promotion and trade facilitation. That obviously include aspects related to setting up what we call special economic zone, managing special economic zone, and the other aspect which we call the economic development impact. And this includes ensuring that creating an environment for Namibians businesses to operate.
And over the past 6 months since taking over the role, you are new in the role. Perhaps what have you been your primary focus areas?
I think the most important thing is perhaps to understand that NIDA is an amalgamation of two entities. We had former Namibia Development Corporation, which was known as NDC, and then we also had an offshore development company, and government saw it fit to put these two companies together. Since operationalization in 2018, obviously what we have been doing now ever since I came back, I came in March as an interim CEO, is to begin to operationalize the entity, making sure that the employees of these various entities are now formally transferred to NIDA, and making sure that the assets of these various entities are formally transferred to NIDA, and also looking at the aspects related to corporate governance, our compliance to PEGA, ensuring that we do audits, from the time when NIDA started, preparation for our integrated business plan, which we also want to use as a turnaround strategy, and also creating a model for a new entity like NIDA. That's what we have been spearheading to.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges you are facing, and how are you aiming to address some of these challenges?
Obviously, as an entity as two entities that came together, there's quite a number of challenges. Obviously, you have cultural challenges. Those are softer parts. You need to address the issue of transformation, but most importantly, aspect of service delivery. Obviously, we have quite a number of challenges at the moment as an organization. We run we have 148 industrial parks across the country that are under the management of NIDA. And some of these industrial parks are currently, in arrears in various local authorities in terms of water and electricity and so on. And these are industrial parks that needs to create an environment for MSME to operate. So these are some of the challenges that we are trying to address at the moment.
Yeah. Can you also share the insights on the flagship projects NIDA has identified, and on just perhaps on how they will be implemented as well?
Yeah, as an industrialization agency, our agenda at the moment is aligned to the bigger vision of the country. Obviously, we would have NDP 6 coming, but most importantly is to implement industries, to implement investments that are aligned to, for example, the emerging economies, oil and gas. We need to see how we play a role there. Green hydrogen, we need to see how we play a role. Manufacturing is a very critical component. We need to see how we play a role in creating manufacturing, tourism, obviously, and also creating an environment to which we can both bring in foreign and local investment. But most importantly, our agenda is also creating an environment where we can have special economic zone. Namibia has become a global player, and therefore whatever industry we would want to set up, we are not setting up for 3 million population. We are looking at how do we participate in the African continental free trade.
And perhaps just on how NIDA is aligning its new strategic business plan with its overall development goals, and also just looking at if you could elaborate on NIDA's infrastructure and its plans to enhance these assets to support its objectives.
Well, NIDA is one of the entities that is quite blessed in terms of assets. And here I have to commend government, because government, with its vision of inclusive development, I spoke about 148 industrial parks. These are parks across the country, different parts of the country. And these are parks that were created to support business development. These are parks that were created to support MSMEs. These are parks that were created to support local, businesses to operate in at a very minimum rental, just to, to keep the lights on. And this is an agenda that government was trying to make sure that it spreads development across the country. So as part of our integrated strategic plan, we want to see how do we make sure that these assets are utilized to the benefits of the Namibian people. But also, how do we make sure that we create an environment which, we don't also just build across the country, but we build in strategic towns and we focus in strategic areas.
Yeah, and briefly just on this week's Okakarara Trade Fair and the contribution of NIDA in fostering economic development in such areas.
And I think this is an important aspect, because the Okakarara Trade Fair actually is taking place in NIDA's facilities. That facility was created by government, and perhaps nobody talks about it. People go to Okakarara Trade Fair, they enjoy and so on, but they do not understand whose facility is it. That is a NIDA facility. It's a facility that government created through the Ministry of Industrialization, and again, that is driving economic development to the people. And that is our role. That is a role that we are playing. If you go in Okakarara, you find the banks are operating, the town council, all those are operating in NIDA's facilities. And that is the agenda to which government was pushing, to make sure that they are able to spread across the country.
And lastly, just looking ahead, how does NIDA plan to ensure the fulfillment of its founding mandate?
Well, we as part of our transformation strategy now, as part of our turnaround strategy now, we definitely want to make sure that we bring private sector to play. We bring investors to play with us. We bring, NIDA is a business arm of government, and therefore we want to make sure that as a business arm of government, we are able to partner with private sector, we are able to partner with investors that want to speak to us, we are able to, on an equal basis.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you very much.
Of course, that was the Chief Executive Officer of the Namibia Industrial Development Agency, who just gave us a brief on NIDA. We'll be right back.